So both are basically dealing with some artificial environment. Okay, so you're basically trying to create a kind of a artificial environment. What we call it as a virtual. It's not physical. It's not really existing in the sense. So that the thing that we are trying to creating. That is that virtual reality. That is the main thing over there. So augmented reality is also a kind of a virtual reality, okay, but not fully virtual reality. So, and these are basically comes under the banner, what we called it as your, what is called that extended reality. Okay, these comes under that extended reality. You have augmented reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, and your mixed reality. So you can easily you can appreciate, or you are aware about that basically virtual reality, or even in mixed reality, they need a special headset, okay, the camera. And then whereas in case of augmented reality, you do not require such kind of high sophisticated devices, but that you have to wearable devices that you have to put it inside your on your eyes. So that is the main thing, that is the advantage that you are getting, right? With the arrival of the your augmented reality, because just simply you use your mobile phone and you can get the benefit of this augmented reality. Now, where is the difference between these two, that virtual reality and augmented reality? Virtual reality actually creates a completely virtual environment, okay, complete virtual environment over there. So you have to wear those devices, and then it will going to create a completely virtual environment. Whereas augmented reality, they basically a kind of a mix between the real environment and virtual environment. It actually immerses a virtual environment on top of the real environment. So if you can take that example of your Google Map. Suppose you are focusing your camera in Google Map, and on the screen, though it is showing through your camera, it's showing the real world. You are on the road, and then if you take some help from there, you want to go over there. On the screen itself, it will going to show you the arrow, that the directions of that. So that is actually you're putting something on top of the real picture over there. So that is where the differences lies between the virtual reality and augmented reality. You are actually creating and augmenting a virtual environment and on top of the real environment. So mixed what is called the reality is basically the same augmented reality, but difference is that, as I mentioned, in mixed reality you need a special wearable device. If you see the first picture that has been given in the title slide of this particular workshop or that session, that a person is wearing a kind of a device on their eyes, and they're interacting with a machine. So that is nothing but with that device, it is basically interacting with that machine, the real environment, but on in screen it can see some different additional informations about that particular device, on how to operate that thing. Okay, but now you can see nowadays the same thing you can do using mobile phone. You just focus your camera, okay, and you activate your system, AR system, then it will going to tell you what to do, what not to do. Suppose you want to drive a car, okay, you don't know completely, you don't know how to operate the car. So you can take the help of that AR system. You focus your camera over there, and it will going to start, and you can just see. You can focus in a particular positions. It will going to tell you the additional information, that what that item is for and what is the use of that to operate that particular car or any other devices. So that is basically it's putting a kind of a virtual environment, additional information you must say, on top of the real environment. Now, what is the use of that, this virtual environment? Because both the areas are highly important, okay, and it's a very huge use you can see. If you go to some multi storage shop or departmental, some shopping mall and all, nowadays you have very good game virtual reality games, it's available. So if you go inside there, you'll always going to feel you are inside the, I mean, a real environment. So actually it's a virtual environment. Okay, suppose now what is the use, what is the real life application? Game is fine, that is absolutely fine. Now where is the use of this virtual reality? Suppose uh, army persons, they have to go for some kind of war environment. Now it's always a kind of a fatal thing that if you go in the real field and start doing some kind of experiences, or do some training over there, it's never possible. Or a kind of a pilot the training pilot, you cannot give the entire flight to a I mean the amateur pilot to fly a particular flight or plane. Now what they can do, they can get an entire feel of a real flight, flying a flight by using this virtual reality. Or a army can go to the war field, okay, but not in physically, but with the help of a virtual reality. Okay, so that means it takes a person entirely to the virtual environment. Whereas in case of augmented reality, you will observe that, as I have mentioned, that Google and any other complex system demonstrations, nowadays people are using lot of augmented reality because it's quite easy to create those systems. Virtual reality, you know that you have a special device you need it for that. But in augmented reality, definitely you can do it easily. And as a student, as a learner, it's much more easier. Why? Because now Google is coming up with different SKD packages, okay, like AR core and all. So if you use these things, now creating a augmented reality based system, it's really good. I can give you some small exercise if you try for that. Though I don't have much time to take into the much technical aspects of that AR and VR. It will going to be taken care by Mr. Khagendra Sharma. They are expert and doing this training for last few years. So I can give you a very small example, though I have given it to my student, but they could not. We took time on lockdown and all, they could not do it. What you can do, it's a small system. Say you are going through a road. I mean, it's you can take it as like a kind of a project or small hands-on at the end of this course. What you can do, like when you focus your camera on the number plate of some people, it should show on your screen what is the exact details of that particular car owner. Okay, and this is some way possible. You have to just explore. I can give you the idea how you can do. It's basically capturing that what is called that the number plate, the numbers of that car, and it will. You need some OCR, optical character recognition. So nowadays these are very available. So then it will convert it back to the number, and you can generate automatically a SMS to the Bahan. Okay, so Bahan, Government of India have a facility that if you send the the car details or the number, registration number of the car, it will going to give you back the details of that particular owner. So as a just a test drive, you can say you can create a AR system where you'll focus your mobile onto that, and it will going to give you on top of your screen who is the owner. And if you can make it public somewhere, it will be great help, because anything can happen on the on run if someone hits and move up. So if you can have a kind of a system, people can really get a benefit of using that kind of system to get the entire details of who is actually that person. Because if cars are moving, you cannot do typing and everything manually. So if you have such kind of system, then definitely it will going to be a great beneficial for the normal public. It's just a simple kind of a small assignment you can consider, or project you can consider. After that training, you may try for that. So hope you're going to be get benefited by that particular course, and at the end of that course, I think you will going to able to develop some good workable system in your work, or maybe you can take up in your research projects or any other system development. So with that, I would like to conclude my that short introductory speech. I think Dr. Khavendra Sharma can now take up the proper training process. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saurabh sir, for your valuable words. So moving forward, I would like to pass on the session to Sri Khagendra Sharma, Scientist T, NILET Gantok, for further course. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you, Professor Saurabh Roy, sir. That was very, nice words from your side to get started. So thank you very much. So before I proceed, I'll just share my screen first. Just a minute. I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So like the topic says, we are here today for a topic that's transforming experiences through augmented and virtual reality. So thank you, Saurabh sir, once again for introducing the topic augmented and virtual reality to the participants. So like Pawan said, this program is being organized by NILET Gantok, which is an organization under Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, under a scheme or the project of Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT, along with nasscom, a program that is called as FutureSkills Prime. Okay, so as the topic says, it's future skills. I mean, it is one of the emerging technologies, right? ER/VR is one of the emerging technologies. That's why under this FutureSkills Prime, and Prime stands for Program for Reskilling and Upskilling of IT manpower for employability. Okay, so we are conducting this program jointly with CDAC Pune, who is the lead center for ER/VR under this particular project. Okay, so without wasting much time, I'll directly go to the topics that we will be covering. So just to introduce you to the concept of AR/VR, or augmented reality and virtual reality, let's see what actually these topics are. Okay, so we frequently hear these words like AR, VR, XR, MR, right? So actually augmented reality and virtual reality, they are also called as immersive technologies, because through these technologies, we can get immersed ourselves in some different environments. So these two technologies are two such technologies which create distinct experiences by merging the physical world with a digital or simulated reality. Okay, so that is what is your immersive technology. Sometimes it is also called as experiential technology, because it helps us to experience some different things actually. Okay, so what is virtual reality within AR/VR? Let's see that first. Okay, so virtual reality, also called as VR, it uses computer generated information to provide a full sense of immersion. So it is basically a realistic, I mean, we feel as if it is a real environment. So that's why it is a realistic and immersive simulation of a three-dimensional 360-degree environment created using interactive softwares and hardwares, and experienced or controlled by movement of the body. Okay, so each and every word that I am mentioning in this particular slide, okay, it's realistic, because the experience we should not feel like it's something a simulated sort of thing. The experience should be more or less like what we experience in real life. So it should be realistic. Okay, it should be immersive in the sense, watching a movie is not immersive in the sense you are still in the 2D screen, two-dimensional only. Okay, you are not a player inside that particular environment. So when I say immersive, you have something called as the depth. Okay, when I say depth, you are in a three-dimensional environment. Okay, so you'll have to be immersed. You yourself become a part of that particular environment. Okay, so it's an immersive simulation of a three-dimensional. Definitely, it's not talking about just two dimensions. It has the third dimension also, that is your depth. Okay, three-dimensional, 360 degree, in the sense no matter whether you turn to your left, right, top, bottom, wherever you move, okay, wherever you see, there should be some contents, virtual contents out there. Okay, so 360-degree environment. And how do we get such environments? Of course, it's a technology through, that's why it has to be created using some sort of softwares. So the commonly used softwares are softwares like Unity, Unreal, and all. Okay, so created using interactive softwares, and of course there has to be hardware also. Okay, and how do we experience all of these things? We experience it by using something. Okay, so that's something what I am talking about is something called as your HMD, or your head mounted displays. Okay, and whenever we move our head, whenever we move our body, this head movement and the body movements are tracked. That's why it recognizes what are the changes in terms of our movement and position, and accordingly the content, the virtual contents also gets updated. So that's why it's a realistic, immersive, three-dimensional and 360-degree environment created using softwares as well as hardwares, and experienced or controlled by movement of the body parts. So whenever we talk about head-mounted displays or HMD or headsets in general, some of the headsets, they come with controllers also, which are basically parts of that same device which you have in your hand, so that whenever you move your hand or something, this movement of the hands or the body parts is also tracked. Okay, because what is required now is, as we move forward, right, all of you might be aware about the terms and things like metaverse and all those things, wherein unlike the current social media wherein we can just like or share comments, we cannot do things the way we do it in reality, right? But when we talk about metaverse, it's something like you should be able to grab something, grab some object from a table. Okay, so how do you grab? Of course, in reality we grab it with our hands basically. So in a virtual environment also you require some hands. So where are those hands coming from? Basically from a device, a part of the device which we call as the controller. So in virtual reality, you will have your own hands through which you can grab objects or do anything with those virtual objects in the virtual environment. So that's why it is realistic, it is immersive, it is three-dimensional, and it's a 360-degree environment. So that is what is VR, okay, virtual reality. So like talking about the HMDs or the headsets, for the simple headsets like the Google Cardboard and the Samsung Gear VR, we can use it. I mean, we can experience it using our own phone also. We do not require a sophisticated device. Our own phone is sufficient to experience VR, but definitely you need to insert that inside a Google Cardboard. So Google Cardboard is not a very costly thing. Okay, maybe within 1,000 rupees, you will be able to get a good Google Card also. Okay, Cardboard. So once you have the Google Cardboard, all you require to do is you need to insert a mobile phone, a smartphone basically, into the slots that are available in this head-mounted displays. And once you do it, you put it in your head, and there are lenses. Basically, there are two lenses, one for each eye. Okay, and because the concept of virtual reality is whenever there are two images, okay, I would say when your eye sees two different images, okay, at different angles, the resultant object that is getting created is a 3D basically. Okay, so using that same concept, it has been created. This HMDs has been created. There are two lenses, one for each eye, so that one eye sees one image, another eye sees another image, but taken together, it will be a 3D or a immersive or a stereoscopic image basically. Okay, so that is the simplest way in which we can experience virtual reality. Okay, using Google Cardboards and putting the mobile phones into the available slots. The expensive ones or the well-known other ones are also there. Sorry, like the Quest. Okay, the Quest is from a company which is called as Oculus, which was later bought by Facebook. Okay, so Oculus Quest is there. Okay, you have HTC, which has its own product called as HTC Vive. In addition to this, there are other devices also like your Microsoft HoloLens. Sony has its own product. Okay, so there are different HMDs that are available in the market, but these are little bit expensive as compared to the Google Cardboards. Okay, and another difference between your Google Cardboards and this Oculus and the HTC is In case of Google Cardboard, the entire computing is done within your mobile phone itself. Okay, but in case of the Quest itself is a computer. Okay, so the entire processing, everything is done within the Quest itself. You do not require an additional mobile phone or something. So it's another version of Android, you can say, the Oculus. Okay. Similarly, HTC Vive also, the entire processing is done by the Vive itself. But the only difference from Oculus is, in case of the HTC Vive, it needs to be tied to a personal computer or a computer, so that the entire rendering and everything is done in the computer, and the output is what you see in the HTC Vive headset. Okay, so that is the difference. In case of Oculus Quest, you need not tie it to the personal computer for rendering. Okay, so that is the difference. So these different types of HMDs are available to experience virtual reality. So that was for the virtual reality. Coming to the next area, that is augmented reality or AR. So what happens in AR is basically you are still in your physical world, but the physical world is augmented with some digital contents basically. Okay, so like you can see in these photographs, right? The first photograph is one of our classrooms. Okay, we do not have tables, we do not have sofa sets there. But using AR in that particular room, I can have some digital content, which in this case is the models of the tables and the table and the sofa basically. Okay. Similarly, the another image, that's also an application of AR. Okay, just to demonstrate the concept. So what can be done is you have the engine of your car, right? Many times your engine stops working. You need to diagnose what is happening, what is to be done, right? So using the concept of AR, whenever you look at the engine, it overlays some information on top of the engine, which is basically a digital information, which helps you, which guides you as to what you need to do to fix your engine basically. Okay, so like is shown in the example here, the man is wearing a glass, okay, the AR glass, and he gets a digital content which is basically an information to him, which says, please unfix the scrubs here to remove the covering. So he knows, okay, I need to do these things basically. So that type of applications can be done using augmented reality. So in AR, you are still in the physical world, but only additional information is augmented in the physical world in the form of a digital content. Okay. Similarly, the another example we can talk about is, say, for example, take an example of Lenskart. Okay, the Lenskart is a company which sells lenses, right? So without I mean, if I want to buy a new lens, okay, without having to physically wear different designs of lens, I can just try those lens and see how it looks on my face by using this concept of augmented reality. Okay. So same way, Lenskart was just an example. You can have it for your maybe like the shoes companies like Adidas and all. They have a similar thing. Even in your shopping malls, the different companies, they are coming with this idea wherein digital content is overlaid on the physical object basically. Okay, so this is one example. Another example, all of you might be knowing the well-known game Pokemon Go, right? So that is also an example of your augmented reality, and it is not just games. Okay, many times we have a misconception, like whenever we say it is VR or AR, it might be related to games only, but that's not the case. Okay, there was a time when it was limited to games, but now in the days to come, almost every sector, every field will have applications of augmented reality and virtual reality. So taking an example of Pokemon Go, though it's a game, there are instances wherein it has been used for a social development cause also. Okay, so the Pokemon Go was used to create, to create a scenario in which the user of that game need to pick up some waste from his locality. Basically, okay, there are lot of thrown wastes, right? But the Pokemon Go, it was brought in such a medium so that the users need to pick up the waste from their own physical locality basically. So it can be used in diverse areas. It's not like it is just limited to games. It has a wide area of applications. Okay, so that is your augmented reality. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about augmented reality and virtual reality, another technology also comes in between. That is something called as a mixed reality. And when taken together, all of them, we reach something called as your extended reality or your XR. Okay, so let's see what is XR. Okay, So we live in our physical world, right? The real life, the real physical life around us, which is not digital at all, basically. But when we add a little bit of digital content, okay, by augmenting digital content into the physical world, that is something called as here augmented reality. So this is the technology which overlays digital information onto the real world. That means we are still in the real world, but our real world is augmented by some additional digital content. Okay. After that, the next level is something called as a mixed reality. Okay. So in mixed reality, what happens? Your digital objects and the real world objects, they coexist as one, basically. Okay. So you cannot differentiate. That level between your augmented reality and virtual reality is so thin, like you will appear like it's more or less like a same thing, basically. Okay. So there is no, difference actually. Okay. So when the real world objects and the digital objects, they can coexist as one, when both merge glue well, so well, that resultant technology is something called as your mixed reality. Okay. So that is the area on which Microsoft has this device called as a Microsoft HoloLens. Okay. And next is the virtual reality, what we just saw, wherein the entire thing, the entire environment, whatever you see is totally virtual or digital. There is nothing, no area of reality in that. No real life is there. It is totally virtual environment. So all of them taken together is called as your extended reality or your XR. So why AR and why VR and what is the importance, or why do we need to talk about these technologies today? Okay. So virtual reality presents a simulated environment to the user in such a way that the user, through multisensory experiences, perceives the artificial digital environment to be real. Virtual reality takes us to alternate universes. Okay. So what happens is, it's basically a technology in which all our five senses, okay, our eyes, our smell, our touch, our vision, everything is tricked into believing something as real, even though it's a simulated environment. Okay. So the most common form of simulating it is through visual thing, right? So whenever we say virtual reality, we think that it is just limited to your just the visuals or the images or the visual aspect only. No, that's not the case. Okay. It involves almost all your five senses. Okay. So there is a science of touch which is called as a haptics, which is integrated into virtual reality, which will give you a feedback when you touch something in the virtual environment. Okay. So that haptic feedback is also available in terms of your virtual reality. Forgetting about haptics, okay, there can be your the perception through your smell also. Okay, there can be perception through your taste also. Okay, there can be perception through your audio also. Okay, so it is not just the visual images that is being presented to you. The environment is such that the multisensory experiences are explored, basically. So it involves all the five senses. That's why it's one form of something what we call as the perception engineering also. Okay. So there are technologies like wearables, which when you wear those things, you get some sort of a haptic feedback whenever you are working or and you are experiencing the virtual environment. So it involves all the five senses, and because of that, we are able to experience or even reach into some different universes which we were never able to experience before. So similarly, augmented reality makes our surroundings come alive with data, with images, with sounds, and unique experiences superimposed on the world around us. That's why it's very much important. Okay. So since the topic of the webinar is transforming experiences through AR and VR, what I'll do in my subsequent slides, I'll just go through few of the areas in which and how it can transform the experiences by using AR and VR. So first example, let me take an example of a healthcare. Okay, the photographs that's shown out here. Okay, this is something which is not a science fiction; it's a reality. Okay, so in terms of healthcare, how it helps or how it changes or how it transforms the experiences is the healthcare is getting modernized, because now using this concept of AR and VR, the entire skill development, the training, everything can be done in AR and VR, basically. Okay. Because since medicine is a very complex science, okay, you need to work on the real life bodies. Okay, but many times working on real things is very difficult. Okay, you never know what is wrong, right? Okay, you are still in the learning phase, basically, right? But through virtual reality, you can experience experience operation theater in virtual reality, wherein taking your own time you can see how it is to be operated, how much length you need to cut into a particular part, okay, what you need to drill, what you need to act on, okay, all of these things will be presented in your virtual environment only. So performing very precise operations by practicing without being in the midst of an emergency, okay, that is one area. Or even patients with phobias and anxieties work through their problems in a controlled environment, okay. So what it means is many times we have some sort of phobias, right? We have phobias or fear of dark space, fear of water, fear of height, right? So these are some sort of ailments. Okay. So what happens in virtual reality is an environment is created such that a simulated environment, say a closed space sort of thing, basically. It's not reality, it's a virtual reality. So the patients are kept there and they get their own time to walk through their problems and then come out of their problems, basically. Okay. So these type of things can also happen using AR and VR. Okay. So that was the case of healthcare. Okay. So the entire operations and all can be done using that. Another is example is your automotive industry. Okay, so as you see in this diagram, the engineers are wearing some head-mounted displays and they are working on some automobile models, car models in virtual reality itself. The advantage is they get to know a real-life model. I mean, it is as good as a real-life model only. So they can see various aspects of the engine, various aspects of the car, and make many of the changes before coming out with the final product. Okay. So car manufacturers analyze road scenarios and the behavior of cars and make changes to the prototypes before developing a new model. Similarly, in case of entertainment, VR is being introduced to cinemas and theme parks to simulate real life experiences. So suppose, for example, you are sitting in a roller coaster, right? It is not just sitting it and getting thrilled in that experience. Okay. What if you could hear wear some head mounted displays altogether reach a different place, basically the experience would be even more better, basically, right? So that type of themes are also available. In case of education, okay, like being shown in this particular diagram, okay, many times we have challenges. We never understand the concepts when a teacher teaches about us, maybe a molecule or an atom. It is very difficult to imagine. How minute things are atoms and molecules, right? And they say there are neutrons, protons, so many things. So it becomes very difficult to visualize also. Okay. Even for that matter, the solar system for that matter. So in the first example that is being shown, by wearing some head-mounted displays, the student is able to see a real-life solar system around them. So they can just go and touch the earth. Okay, they can just rotate it, maybe through haptic feedback. If there is a planet which is very hot, okay, so by just touching on that, they will feel that heat also actually. Okay, so that is what I mean by haptic feedback. So that type of things can be done in education. The another picture you can see a human body. Okay, so they study the entire human body, wherein different parts, the heart, the intestine, they can come out and they can go even into further details of that particular organ, basically. Okay, so it's something like you have been given a physical intestine to you, and you are working in that. But it is not real, it is a simulated, but you get that experience, okay, altogether experience as if you are working on real life objects, okay. So in case of the educational games, the field trips, and in general experiencing the world is possible through AR and VR. Similarly, in case of space and military, okay, what happens? There are very difficult areas, difficult situations wherein a army or a army personnel needs to work. Okay, so using VR or simulated environment can be provided to them for training also. Okay, so it provides conditions for making things as close to reality as possible for training, helping soldiers suffering from battlefield trauma to overcome situations and prepare for new and unexpected situations. Okay. Similarly, in case of architecture, okay, designing of buildings and all. So it's not just designing using some CAD software or something. Okay, much before the structure is built, you start experiencing how it looks. You feel as if you are within that particular built-up building itself when you are at the design stage itself. Okay. So there also you can use AR and VR. So experience the space before it is built and make real-time changes to deliver customer satisfaction. Another area is a digital marketing. Okay, so the potential customers how a product will look in their home. So there was a time wherein to paint a particular wall of your house, you need to take the paint from a shop and then try a little bit on that physical wall, and then see how it looks, right? But no, that's not the case. Okay, the Asian paints, the Nerolac, all of them have some sort of AR VR applications through which in any of the environment you can just try out the different shades of color and see how that environment looks. So that type of things is available. You can try out a new set of furnitures much before you buy and see how it looks in your real life room, basically. Okay, so it can be used for digital marketing. For occupational safety, like I have been talking, many of the situations, it's a very dangerous situation, right? Say for example, how do you say for a person who deals with fire accidents, okay, the fire personals, basically. Okay, it is never possible to simulate, or I mean, even during mock drills, it is very difficult, right, to create that type of environment, basically. But using virtual reality, we can have a simulated situation when some building is burned or that environment is full on fire, and the policemen need to go and bring down that fire, basically. Okay, so if in reality they need to do it, it is very difficult. But using virtual reality, considering the safety of the workers there, these type of experiences can be given. So workplace dangers can be addressed in a simulated environment so that workers can learn how to respond to them effectively without being hurt. Okay. Similarly, in case of social science and psychology, a patient can embody someone else and imagine reality from a different perspective. So what that means is, say there's a patient with autism, right? All of you know what is autism, right? There are several videos, several contents built on VR, which explains how a person with autism feels, basically. So we normal people also, by wearing head-mounted display and accessing that type of content, we understand how a person with this disability, how a person with a particular disease, how do they feel actually. Okay, so a patient can embody someone else and imagine reality from a different perspective also. Okay, similarly in case of tourism, you need not physically visit a place all the time. Okay, just through virtual reality you can reach those places and the experience is as good as being there in physically over there. Okay, so you can go on guided virtual tours of hotels, landmarks, restaurants, and whatever else you may want to visit on your next vacation. And then when you do go, you know you won't be disappointed because it's almost as good as your real world. Okay, so having talked about the experiencing transforming experiences, now what are the future prospects? Okay, so according to different market studies, virtual reality is projected to grow exponentially in the years to come. It will definitely be the center of digital transformation. Okay, so that's why spending of different companies and consumers on AR and VR is expected to increase exponentially. Whatever may be the sector, whatever be the field, okay, may it be agriculture, may it be tourism, may it be education, may it be real estate, whatever it may be, but all of these industry players have already started investing in AR and VR. And in the future is augmented reality and virtual reality in all of these sectors also. Okay, so the growth of demand for AR, VR content is going to increase mainly because of the increase in the number of AR, VR handset manufacturers such as Google, HTC, Oculus, and others. And these headsets are going to be cheaper in the days to come. So there was a time, okay, maybe somewhere in 1960s, there was a time when someone wrote a newspaper article like people are going to talk using some device with another person who is far off from him. Okay, so that time it appeared, oh, how it is going to happen, it's a very difficult thing, sort of thing. Okay, and there was a time when someone carrying a mobile phone, people used to stop and look at them, basically. Okay, so we are somewhere at that stage in terms of AR and VR. Definitely if someone carries a head-mounted device, a bulky one in the head, and walk in the market, people will stop and see him right now. but maybe in few years time that's going to be the new normal as such. Okay, so it is going to be cheaper definitely, and it will be accessible to the consumers as well, and the demand for AR/VR applications for various domains will also grow in the days to come. So maybe what type of situation we will be encountering in days to come is, in terms of dining, we will be traveling virtually to any location and immersing ourselves in certain environments while tasting those local dishes. Okay, in terms of media or journalism, okay, we will be able to reach the exact place where that event has occurred. Basically, when I say reach that place, in virtuality, in virtual reality, you are going to reach that place, but the experience is going to be as good as being there physically. Okay, so immersive journalism can take us to places where events have occurred with live streaming of 360-degree videos. Similarly, in the education, we talked about how it's going to change, right? In terms of entertainment, also it's going to change. Okay, architecture, of course, we already saw there. Industry, okay, that is another area. So there is a new technology, what we call as digital twins. Okay, digital twins is basically a simulation wherein in an industry, say for example, you have a small in a small factory, you are working on some physical objects. Okay, you need to work on some physical objects. There is a virtual object which replicates that physical objects. So that is what is called as a digital twins. Whenever you need not work on the physical objects directly. By working on the physical object itself, that simulation is done actually. Okay, so digital twins are exact digital copies of physical objects that factory workers can practice on and test in virtual world. Okay, so similarly in case of culture and art, virtual tools to help understand history and culture is possible. Okay, in terms of military training in simulated environments, already we have like flight simulators and all, right? So that's also an area wherein AR and VR is being used. Medicine, like I said, it's going to be a new form of therapy actually. Okay, say for example, I am a patient with depression. Okay, a VR solution can be there wherein the patient is exposed to a very soothing environment. Okay, so because of that, he might be encountering different types of environments which might help him to come out of depression or come out of stress or trauma basically. Okay, so it will also come up as a new form of therapy as well. Okay, so that is the thing. Now the most important thing that is going to happen, the main revolution that we are going to see, is something called as the metaverse. Okay, all of you are aware, Facebook has already changed their name to Meta, right? So similarly, there will be several metaverses. Who will rule that? That's a different thing. But already a lot of players are already involved in something called as the metaverse. Okay, so the main concept of metaverse is the current social media platforms that we use. It's limited to, we are working on the social media in the way how computers operate. Okay, in reality, we never do like, comment. Do we do that in reality? No, that's just because that is what the computers are used to. Okay, so that's the interface is such, like we still feel like we are working with a computer. No matter we are using social media, but still we feel we are working with a computer or a mobile for that matter. We are still not in reality. Okay, but in metaverse, it's going to be an altogether different experience. Okay, you will be there as your avatar. Okay, when I say avatar, it would be a digital representation of yourself, as representing you to the closest extent possible. Okay, so you would be there. Okay, there would be assets which we will be calling as maybe something like NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Okay, so non-fungible tokens mean everything will have a single copy of it. Okay, unlike the case now, like if you have an image, you can have multiple copies of that images, right? But in case of NFT, there is a single copy and a single owner at a particular point of time. So that's where something called as a blockchain will also come into picture. But definitely for your virtual content, the virtual assets and all, the AR and VR is the main integral part of the metaverse. So there you can have various events, like the marriages can be made in metaverse. Okay, wherein you will also go, the bridegroom would be there, and that sort of thing. Basically, you can grab objects, you can interact with each other. Okay, it's altogether a different. It will be a different world for that matter. So the wave that we use today lacks in several counts. Conceptually, an array of activities like working, okay, running. Are you able to run on social media right now? No, not really, right? Running, traveling, or shopping. So when I say shopping, it is not like ordering a product from Amazon or something. I mean, how do you buy a product when you are in reality? You just walk into a shop, you pick up that item that you want to see, and then put it into a basket or something. So I am talking at that level of shopping. So you will be entering a digital world, okay, wherein now using your hands you will be grabbing the objects, the products that you want to buy, okay. You will be walk also physically, okay. So that type of experience I am talking about, and that is what is called as here metaverse. So the space and time on metaverse would appear similar to the real world, and that's where VR, AR, and VR would be the main player, along with other technologies like blockchain, okay. So since this is the scenario and the transformation that is going to take place, that's why as part of this Future Skills Prime program, various skilling opportunities are being made available to the youths of the country, both employed as well as unemployed, or the students for that matter. Okay. So to start with, if you want to explore, get into the area of AR and VR, the preliminary course that's available on the Future Skills Prime platform is the course in augmented reality and virtual reality, which is a 120 hours course. Okay, it is being offered under Future Skills Prime project of Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Okay, so what will be taught? Okay, I'll just talk the main topics only. So basically, it will introduce you to the topics of augmented reality and virtual reality, including like definitions, history, applications, hardware, and the softwares that you need to use. Okay. Similarly, we talked about in the initial definition of VR, when we say it is a 3D environment, it is an immersive environment created using interactive softwares. Okay, so what are those softwares? Those software are basically called as your game engines. Okay, so there are several game engines. One of the most well-known and the powerful game engines is something called as your Unity 3D game engine. Okay, so this course will basically help you to develop AR, VR content or applications using Unity. So we'll help you do the installation, what is its interface, the tools available, how you can apply materials and textures. Okay, there will be a little bit of programming. Okay, and basically, actually, what is the advantage of this game engines is, say when you are in a virtual environment, the main objective is it should look as real as possible. Okay, it should replicate the physical world to the extent possible. Okay, so that's why many of the physical things like your concept of maybe for example concept of your friction, concept of gravity. Say for example, if I draw a ball, say for example a cube, and put it in a space, okay, not on the floor, what should happen in reality? It should fall down basically. Okay, so that type of physics should also be involved actually, okay, to create the environment, the level of environment that we are talking about. But if we go into the details of all those physics and all those things, it's going to be very much complicated. But using these game engines, applying that concepts of gravity, friction, collision, and all those things is very much easy. Okay, it's just a drag and drop sort of thing. Okay, so that type of physics engine is also involved in these game engines. So that type of concepts will also be introduced. Okay, and basically when we develop, there are different headsets, right? So it can be developed for your Android phone, it can be developed for Oculus, it can be developed for HTC Vive. So what you do is you write a single program, but when you want to develop it for different products, say Oculus or Google Cardboard or HTC, you need not write different programs for that matter. Using a single program, you can build and create utilities for different products and different platforms. Okay, so how we do that, that will also be introduced to you. And there is something called as your Vuforia, okay, which is basically a software development kit for creating augmented reality. So augmented reality, there would be two types of augmented reality. One is your marker based, one is your markerless. Okay, when I say marker based, that means you need to scan a particular image to trigger some digital content. Okay, say for example, on a school book, maybe when I see the diagram of a app A, when I see the alphabet A, it should augment it with a photograph 3D model of an apple basically. Okay, but that for that to work, it should always see a particular image, right? So when it is tagged with a particular image, that is called as marker based. But when it does not require any sort of image or any marker, it is called as markerless. Say for example, the floors, okay, trying new furnitures on a floor that does not require any fixed area, right? Fixed image or something like that. You can try it on any horizontal ground, okay. So that is called as a markerless. So how do we create such type of applications using the Vuforia AR SDK is another topic. And definitely Google has its own SDK called as the Google AR Core. Apple has its own thing called as the AR Kit, and together they can be accessed using a common framework which is called as AR Foundation provided by Unity. Okay, so how to work on those things, how to create the web VR so that the virtual reality content that we are talking about can be made accessible over the browsers itself. Okay, this Spark AR, so that you can have your you might be seeing it something like a Snapchat and all, right, wherein on your face you have different digital contents overlaid to give you a different look and feel, right? So how that can be created, that type of applications can be created. For that we have something else, Spark Air, and you will be working on a project at the end. Okay, so this will be the 120 hours of course that can be made available to you. Okay, and for working professionals, okay, it's an incentive based program, so that if you upload your working experience or your working credentials in the FutureSkills Prime platform, the course fees or whatever the amount is, it depends on course to course, that will be refunded back to you into your wallet also. Okay, the skilling wallet also. So that type of features are available. Okay, so what is the advantage of undergoing this type of courses or getting ourselves aware about all these things is the rapid growth in adopting immersive technologies by all industry fields has spurred the demand for qualified, skilled AR and VR professionals. So like we saw everywhere, it's going to be an AR VR. So that's why the demand for skilled and qualified AR VR professionals is going to grow in the years to come. So as the technologies get more mainstream, it will create more demand for AR and VR professional. That's why there is a requirement for this type of skills in our country. Okay, so we can have job roles like AR designer and developer, VR designer and developer, UI, UX or the UI designer, graphic designers, game designers, design architect, VR specialist, AR VR consultant, or the senior consultants. And the most important, after having undergone this 120 hours of course, you will get access to the next level of deep skilling courses in AR and VR as well. Okay. So with that, since we had a very limited time, I would like to conclude here. Okay. So for any further queries, any information that you require, you can either mail me at the given email ID or note my mobile number. You can call me also, or for further information regarding the FutureSkills Prime, the given website that is www.futureskillsprime.in can also be accessed. So that is it from my side. If there are any queries, I'll be glad to take those. Thank you. Yes, any queries?
Excuse me.
Yes.
The Google Lens product was considered as a failure.
Right.
What are your opinions about it? What could have gone wrong, and whether we are going to have it again in the market, fresh, with new changes?
Okay. Yeah, you are correct too in that way. It was a failure to some extent. Okay, because see, definitely they will have a presence, because when we talk about concepts like a metaverse and all, right? Now, even though we are of the opinion like the Facebook changing their name to Meta, so that's why they are going to be a player in metaverse or something like that, right? They are working in that aspect. But if you see Google, Microsoft, and all others, they have some other, what to say, other plus points. Say for example, with your Microsoft, they already have a gaming device with them, right? So they have a lot of access to already a customer base, which might be a great benefit to them basically. Okay, so definitely in the days to come, we will see like there are products from Google, from Microsoft, from maybe from Amazon, Facebook, all of them, because the way the things are going, I mean AR VR is going to be the main thing in the days to come. So even though the initial things failed for them, definitely there are few products being worked by them, which I think in the days to come we'll be able to see them.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Sachin Hang Subba has raised a hand. So, okay, Sancha Hang Subba, if you have anything, you can just ask me. Or in case if you do not have a microphone, you can write your question in the chat box. Okay, so if there are no further queries, okay, you can please be in touch with us for any further requirement, anything, any queries related to augmented reality, virtual reality, the metaverse, anything. So it was very nice having this session with all of you, though it was very limited time. We hope to conduct such sessions in the coming days also. So thank you all of you for your valuable time. Thank you once again. So that's it from my side. Thank you for the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. There's a question, when will this course will start? The course is already live. Okay, so anyone willing to enroll for the course, actually the course is in a blended mode. So when I said blended mode, that means you need not come to our center or our institute all the time. There are contents through which you can go. In case if you have any doubt or if you want to experience this type of the setup and all, you can get in touch with us and come to our premises also. But the course is already available in your FutureSkillsPrime.in. So you need to visit FutureSkillsPrime.in. There you will search for augmented reality, virtual reality. You will see 4 centers, okay, under AR VR. One is CDAT Pune, one is NILAT Gantok, one is NILAT Chandigarh, and one is NILAT Kolkata. So based on your preference, your accessibility options and all, you can choose one of these centers. But for selecting NILAT Gantok as your study center preference, you need to select this study center as NILAT Gantok in that Future Skills Prime portal. So the course is already live, you can enroll there. Okay, so thank you all of you. Thank you. Okay, what is the fees, sir? Okay, the fees. Okay, the fees is around, I think, 3,000 rupees. Okay, but like I said, it's an incentive based scheme. So first you need to pay it on clearing the examination, and subject to the condition that you have an offer letter from any of the companies that okay, you are going to be employed there, or if you are already employed somewhere, by uploading your employment documents, you will get an incentive back. Okay, the incentive that you get back is a maximum of 3,500 rupees. Okay, the course fees is somewhere around 3,000 rupees, which you need to pay initially. Do we need to buy VR device? Not really. But like I said, the Google Cardboard is very, very cheap in that way. Okay, so within 1,000 rupees, not even 1,000 rupees, you can buy a VR cardboard, Google Cardboard. Okay, and just put your headset, put your smartphones into that and then start experiencing the VR content. Okay, but definitely the experience that you get from a Google Cardboard and that of a Oculus or STC is altogether a different thing. But it does not mean that you need to buy it. Okay, if you you want to experience, that is what the study centers are there. So NILAT Gantok has this type of setup. You can always visit our center and then take the experience as to how it feels when wearing those type of devices. So it's not a mandatory requirement that you need to have a VR device. And for that matter, if it is the case of AR, you do not require any device also, because like the professor sir said earlier in his remarks, using the normal mobile phone itself is sufficient to experience augmented reality. Can you suggest any device to buy which is economical? Okay. Okay, economical wise, I would say Google Cardboard itself. Okay, but if you want to experience the real VR with lot of experiences to get a altogether different experience, I would suggest Oculus. But definitely, at least currently, it is not very economical. But definitely, if metaverse is becoming a real thing, then definitely this HMD's cost will definitely decrease in days to come. Okay, so I hope I answered your query, right? I'm from South India. Okay. Okay, what you can do is after I'm leaving my mobile number here, 89066. That's my mobile number. After this session, you can get connected to me for, if you require any help or any further guidance on that matter. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So any other questions? If not, we'll end the session here. So once again, thank you all of you. Hope to meet you or talk with you very soon. Thank you all of you. Thank you. Pawan?